This little 4-foot nothing-ass spider monkey ninja got hopped.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2025 action film Love Hurts. The film is directed by Jonathan Uzbayo and it stars Ke Kwan, Ariane DeBose, Mustafa Shakir, Leo Tipton, Daniel Wu and Cam Gideonay. Right. Okay, the film focuses on Marvin, played by Ke Kwan. He is a real estate agent, a very successful one, and he absolutely loves his job. This one particular day, on Valentine's Day, he receives a Valentine's card that basically announces to him that someone from his past is back. It turns out to be Rose. Now, what we don't know at this point is that Marvin used to be an enforcer for a brutal gangster called Knuckles, who was his older brother, or his brother anyway. I'm not sure if he was his older brother. And he was basically tasked with killing Rose, but he didn't do it because he was in love with Rose and he let her go free. So we jump forward a few years. He's changed his life. He's a real estate agent. Rose is back and his brother wants to know why. So everybody targets Marvin in order to try and get their hands on Rose, and he has to basically discover his past ruthlessness in order to survive this. Right. What are my thoughts on Love Hurts? Well, this is... it's got some unique things going for it, obviously, this. I mean, you've got your Valentine's theme. We've got Ke Kwan in the lead role here. Now, if you don't know, and I'm sure many of you watching this do know, he won the Oscar the year previously. He'd been out of movies for a long time. And again, if you don't know, he played Short Round in Indiana Jones. He was in The Goonies. And he basically hasn't acted for a long time, even though I think he's worked quite a lot as like a choreographer, a fight choreographer and stuff like that. Because he... is quite a talented martial artist and continued to train as a martial artist when he learned how to do that for Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So, he got his Oscar, great comeback story, everybody loved it. So he's probably had a lot of projects thrown his way. And apparently he wasn't going to do this one, but he was advised by a friend. One of the reports I read said it was actually Steven Spielberg advised him to take the project, so he did, obviously. And what we get here, other than those unique elements to it, is a fairly bog standard action film by any standards, really. It reminded me very much of Nobody, that action film that came out a couple of years ago, where we think it's a seemingly normal guy, but it turns out he's actually an ex-assassin, very skilled killer. Very similar thing here, basically. You've got a reluctant hero. You've got Marvin, who really now just wants to be this estate agent guy. He wants to sell people their homes. He genuinely loves it. He's got new friends in his life. He's put his past behind him. So it's reluctant. You kind of... It's kind of a silly comparison to make, but it's almost like Unforgiven, the Clint Eastwood film. Throughout the whole film, he's fighting who he actually is. He's fighting it. It doesn't want to kind of become that person again, who he used to be. And it's similar in this film. He's fighting it and fighting it. He doesn't want to become that ruthless killer, enforcer that he was previously when he worked for his brother. So you can kind of see that he's holding back a little bit in a lot of the fight sequences early on. He's kind of just doing enough to survive. In one of his fight scenes, he kind of wins and knocks the guy out, and as he's falling to the floor, he kicks a pillar under his head. So he's definitely softened. So, you do spend quite a bit of the film kind of thinking, okay, when we're going to get the real Marvin sort of thing. Well, obviously you do get that at the end. The fight choreography here is well done. It's, nicely paced, very slick. As you'd expect, it's like Asian infused, Oriental infused action here, using the environment to his advantage, obstacles around him, all that good stuff, really. So the fights I don't have a problem with, really, at all. A lot of the characters were just very, very by the book, generic bad guys. Tick that box, tick that box. The squabbling hitmen or the squabbling goons. We've seen it so many times in movies, Again, that's Valentine thing. One of the goons is trying to make up with his wife, I think it is, and he can't seem to figure out the best thing to say to her, and then you've got these two squabbling all the way through the film. Kind of useless in a lot of ways. Then you've got another assassin who's a poet, who one of Marvin's staff members kind of falls for. And it's that really. It's just kind of like not a great deal of thought has gone into any of these characters. And then this big character, Rose, who you feel it's supposed to be this big character. They don't give her a great deal to do here. They don't give her a great deal of personality, in my opinion. He's supposed to be in love with her, which is why he set her free all them years ago. But there's very little chemistry there, in my opinion. It just didn't work. And it's a very simple plot as well. She basically stole some money from this guy Knuckles, who is Marvin's brother. And he's like so poorly fleshed out. All he does throughout the entire film, this Knuckles guy, this Marvin's brother, this mob boss, is drink bubble tea all the way through the film. All he ever does is he's got a bubble tea in his hand all the time. And that's the best he could think to come up with for his character. I mean, very poor stuff, really. And then the less said about Cam Gideon's character, the better. Totally wasted, totally pointless goon character. And that is ultimately, I feel, what lets this film down. It's the lack of interesting characters, and the lack of interesting things that they're given to do. The film really is Ke Kwan kind of stumbling his way through the film through a series of well choreographed, admittedly, action scenes, and it just feels like somebody had this project on a desk, and they were like, "What are we going to do with this? What are we going to do with this?" And then the Oscar comes around for Ke Kwan, and they're kind of like, "Ooh, we could make him an action star. That'd be a cool idea. Come on, let's send it him. Let's send it him." It just feels like it was at one point it was a generic action film gathering dust on somebody's desk, and they thought we could generate a bit of interest with this if we could get this guy on board. And ultimately, what you're left with is I'd say a very generic action film with some polished action scenes that are well choreographed, but with full of fairly uninteresting characters. And if I'm being honest, the Marvin character is not overly interesting either. They're not as if they give him anything major to do or say in the film either. So a little bit disappointing, but if you just want an action film, click your brain off and you're not too worried about interesting characters and that kind of stuff, then you'll probably have a reasonable time with this one. So thanks for joining me for this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I will of course be back with plenty more content on the channel very, very soon.